Now that's a very difficult stage in personal development. Why? Because you start by learning tribal boundaries long before you get to the point of personal boundaries. You start to learn the boundaries of the house long before you learn what it means to have the boundaries of your room. Right? And as you change those boundaries from physical space to personal space, you're going through a huge transition. A huge transition, especially if you come from a tribal situation where the tribe's notion of boundaries remains physical and you've evolved to emotional, psychological. You're speaking two different languages. But when you have poor personal boundaries, you're going to fall into this pattern. You'll start immediately giving your energy over to someone else because you need their approval. Okay? Because that's what matters to you, is their approval. Not how much you approve of yourself, but whether they said something nice to you that day. Now, think about that. I just want to put this in proportion. I'm not telling you to change. I just want to give you a proportional attitude here, a proportional view of how preposterous this is. Now, imagine. You get up in the morning, you have your whole life in front of you that day. All of your creative energy, everybody you know, anything you want to do with yourself, and you dress for this one person whose approval you want. You form your language for this one person whose approval you want. You figure out your whole life's schedule for this one person. Now, do you really think it's worth it? I just want to ask you. Just good. But do you do it? Go like this now. Go like this. Okay. So, but this is your center for approval. This is also the center, of course, because it's personal boundaries. And if you don't have strong personal boundaries, just as a consequence of that, you are going to become manipulative. You have no other choice. If you can't go in through the front door, you're going to go in through the back door. Right? You'll develop private agendas with people, and this is how that's going to work. This is speaking private agenda fluently. You'll say to someone, can I do something for you? Or I've done this just for you. And that person will be grateful, but the way you are interpreting it is, okay, got a hook in their mouth. Okay, this is the first stage. They're going to need me. I'll do this for them more and more. It'll bring out the rescuer in you. It'll bring out that kind of manipulative attitude. One person did something for me one time. I was teaching a workshop somewhere, and she brought me my lunch the next day. I didn't ask her to do it, but it really, initially, I thought it was a very thoughtful gesture. And she must have spent hours decorating this bag it came in. You know, it had flowers on there, and like those, what do you call those, sticker rubber butterflies, all kinds of things, had a bow. And she delivered this lunch, but her private agenda was that I would ask her to join me for lunch. Okay? And that during lunch, I suspected out would come the request, would you mind doing a reading on me? Okay? Now, here's the truth about working with me. I am far more comfortable with giving me a direct hit. Carolyn, will you or won't you? But don't, you know, I'm very uncomfortable. But as it turned out, I already really did have plans for lunch. So I said, you know, I'd love to join you, but I can't. I've got a commitment here. And instantly, the way she felt about me went from high to crashing. I received a 6 or 7 page letter from this person telling me what a rude and arrogant person I was, what a disappointment I was to her, and how I'm not living up to anything I'm all because I didn't have lunch with her. And had she simply said, Carolyn, I'd like a reading, drop the whole lunch thing, I would have said yes. And this would have never happened. But this is what, and you understand that when you operate from the realm of private agenda, you will absolutely believe that you are seeing reality as it is. That it's your reality and only you can see things as they really are. If I walked up to you and said, why are you interpreting that person's attitude today as though it were directed toward you? This person's anger has nothing to do with you today. You are simply seeing it that way. But if your third chakra is heading in this direction, you're leaking all of this energy into this perception and into that person's energy field. And you know what happens? When you are actually that connected to another person through the energy you pour out of your third chakra into them, into him or her, shall we say, what happens is that even if these people that you're leaking energy to are not in the same room as you, I mean, they could be on the other side of the planet. Distance matters not to leakage. Leakage does not speak time, space, or distance, okay? Get the rules straight. So here you are, writing something, doing anything you want with yourself, and all of a sudden, you feel this sort of jolt to your stomach. You feel a nervous stomach starting, right? And you'll automatically do this because it's a physical chakra. You'll look for a physical reason as to why that's happening. And someone might say to you, why are you so nervous today? Or why are you so uppity, jittery? And you think, I don't know, maybe I had too much caffeine, the standard excuse. But the fact is, you may be receiving energy from somebody who's trying to get their hooks into you. Or you may be leaking energy to that person or to a whole series of people and not even realize it. Because the dialogue that goes on from each of our chakras is a continual dialogue. 1 to 1, 2 to 2. It's just going on all the time. There's a lot to do with the maintenance, and we lose power here so rapidly. Spiritual development has so much to do with learning how to manage the self-esteem in this part of our body and our sense of self-respect and personal dignity. It is such a difficult challenge. All right. So let's go on to the positive side of this, our wonderful third chakra. I'm talking in the third chakra, the good point, the good power, the positive energy that generates from this part of our body, this area, is that we truly do have a sense of self-respect, not arrogance. Arrogance is not what I'm talking. I'm talking about self-respect, where we actually know what it is to feel good about the way we are, either publicly or privately. We take pride in our work. We know what it is. Not pride so other people applaud what we do, but because we recognize I'm breathing my energy into this act of creation. Whether you're baking something or creating, painting a ceiling in the Sistine Chapel, it doesn't matter. You are doing it from the recognition that I am absolutely conscious that my energy is flowing into this action and that it is crucial for me to respect the energy with which I do this. I have frequently looked at the beautiful art and architecture from Europe, as I'm sure many people have. And you realize it has often taken people 20, 25 years to build one building, sometimes 30. And sure, of course, we can, credit the difference in technology. Of course, there's a lot to be said about that. But I also believe that the craftsmen who worked in these years of working with tools and the delicacy of working with their hands. And there are some certain professions, jewelry making, of course, that maintain that. But they had a very different sense of pride in how they did things. That level of personal pride and self-respect came from how well they created that which they gave to others. They were proud of their skills. This is also a level where it allows you to be able to deal with other people without fear that they're going to gut you in some way. And it gives you the ability to stand up to someone who might pass a negative remark in your direction. And you're able to detach from the power of that negativity. And say, that's just that person's opinion. I am not going to allow that energy to enter into my energy system. You are strong enough to protect your own boundaries. Or if you said to another person, I've got this idea, what do you think? And the person is envious of your creativity and says, I'd never even considered doing that. You're strong enough to say, okay, that's your opinion, but I'll take someone else's, or I'll decide this on my own, where you're not seduced by the power of another person's consciousness.